Hello everyone, Mazuhi Tara here. Today I'm going to do something different with all of you. Some of you actually asked me to teach you how to read tarot. However, I don't teach for now, but I would like to share more about tarot. For me, it's about understanding tarot, understanding um, everything, and also after that, be guided with our intuition. Okay, here we have a different set of tarot decks. This one is Tarot of a Moon Garden. I love the images and the colors of this deck. They're just very beautiful. And inside this box, there is a guidebook and there are additional cards. They're sort of an introduction to this deck, Tarot of a Moon Garden. And all original tarot decks usually come with a booklet as well as extra cards like these to introduce the tarot deck that you have. Okay, so I'm going to put this back inside. I rarely use the guidebook for this deck. It's because I rely on intuition and general understanding of each images as well. Yeah. Okay, so these are the images for this deck. Very beautiful, vibrant color. Lots of purple, violet, and blue. Mhm. Okay. Next, I'm going to introduce this one, Taramuka. I love this also. Yes. I love the artworks here. These are like artworks drawn in Art Nouveau style. Then this is the card that sort of introduced this tarot mukha, this tarot deck. And okay, this is the second card. There are two cards here, and there's also like guidance on how to use the card and an invitation. Actually, this one's an invitation to join the community as well. So this is the guidebook. The guidebook is very beautiful, it's printed in glossy paper, very high quality. I love this as well. And it's all color printed, so very pleasing to the eyes. And when you get a tarot deck for yourself, it's very important to get one that you are connected with. You can be connected with it because of many reasons. It could be because of the beautiful artworks, it could just be some unexplained energetic connection. But for this Terror Muka and the earlier one, the Terror of Moon Garden, I was definitely attracted to the artworks. See, these are the beautiful artworks of Terror Muka. Okay, and this is the traditional Raiders Weight Terror. So Terror Muka somehow, what I also love Terror Muka, it resembles very closely to this traditional one. This one I misplaced the box because I use this often. It's a very convenient deck to be used for beginners because most reference books use this deck. And this one is the Everyday Terror by B.D. Terror or Bridget Esselmont. This one, I listen to BD Terror podcast every time when I'm driving. I love how Bridget emphasized on the uses of our own intuition, of course, balanced with the traditional meaning as well. And these cards are also very nicely, the size is very nice, very easy to shuffle. I love that. And yes, nicely printed as well, mostly with purple and gold. This is the guidebook, also mostly with purple and gold. And yes, very high quality paper as well. And I love this guidebook. I use this guidebook now and then because this guidebook, as usual, BD Tarot style is to emphasize on the use of our intuition. So there's a lot of room for um, connection with our intuition, I would say. Um, Probably I'm just also connected energetically to this deck as well and to just the BD Tarot concept and values as a whole. So these are also some guidance in these two additional decks inside the box. 7 steps to activate your intuition, and also some suggested spreads as well, the usual traditionally used spread for tarot readings. Okay, let me just put this back inside. Okay, and this deck, this is the Star Tarot. I was gifted with this tarot deck. So, and when I was gifted, the box was not really like maintained properly, so I don't use it anymore, and I don't have the guidebook as well when I was gifted with this. But I love the images here. The artworks are just so nice, and I feel that there are a lot of symbolism here that I can easily connect to, and the colors are also so vibrant and they spoke to me basically. Mm. Perhaps one day I will get that tarot deck on my own as well, so that I can just have a look at the guidebook, because from what I understand, the guidebook from the Star Tarot, it's very extensive, where there are connections with numerology and symbolism that are explained in detail. So I think that would be very interesting to learn and to understand in general as well. And if you do not know yet, there is a traditional belief that tarot card, your first deck, should be given to you as a gift instead of you buying it for yourself. I don't actually believe in that, because my first deck, actually I bought it myself. That's the Raiders Waite, the traditional tarot. And then the second deck was the Tarot Mocha. So yeah, for me it just depends on which deck you are connected to. But I do feel that I am strongly connected to that star moon or star tarot as well, because of the images and just the overall energy of the card. It's just so beautiful. Okay, I think now let's look at the images of the Fool from each of this deck here, so that we can compare as well with the rest. I personally believe that each of the images from different decks, because of the different artists that drew or painted them and the symbolism that they inserted, we would be connecting, or we would be able to connect to the images in different ways intuitively too, besides understanding the traditional meaning of the card. So this is the image of the Fool from Tarot of Moon Garden here. Okay, you can see that this the Fool here looks like the jester, like the castle jester. Okay, I'm just going to put the deck aside first, and let's see, I put the box aside, and I'll just put this one card, the Fool here, so that it will be easier for us to do the comparison and reference later on, because this video is about understanding of the Fool. Hmm. The Fool is one of the major arcana. Major arcana usually symbolizes big impactful events in our lives, or in the journey as well. The Fool has the number 0 in tarot cards, in the tarot decks, which can be like, 0 as in the beginning, and it can also symbolizes the end. So the journey is very interesting, actually. The story is very interesting. I'm going to read out the story of the Fool and his or her journey through a book later on, so that you all can understand the concept better of what that author tries to deliver. I found that book to be very useful. I'll introduce the book to you later. Okay, where is the image of the Fool here? Okay, I hope it's not at the bottom, although I got a feeling that it might be at the very bottom, at the very end of the deck. Hmm. Yes, that's the one. It is at the very bottom of the deck, the last piece of card here. The usual, I mean, the fool is usually like that. The character in itself is very fun and mischievous as well. So I'm not surprised that, it's actually lying really at the back, at the very back of the deck, trying to just make fun of us now. Now let's look at the Fool in this Everyday Terror by BD Terror. Okay, where is the Fool? It, the images here are this card is very pretty. I like the thickness of this card, this deck. And yes, the size as well. It's very easy to shuffle, especially if your palms are not like huge. Mostly as females, we have smaller palms or compared to men in general. Mm. So I found that the size of this deck is very convenient for me. And I know that BD Terror has released an updated deck. Okay, the Fool, here it is at the very, very bottom of the deck again. Okay, seems like the fun energy and the mischievous energy is very strong here with the Fool. Okay, so now let's have a look at the Fool from this Rider Terrace deck. Rider Wait. I hope it's not at the bottom again. Please, the Fool. Okay. Hmm. Okay, where is this images of the Fool? Through working with Terror so far, the Fool is one of the most fun cards that I love that in this whole Terror journey. Because in upright position, the Fool is always about taking risks, taking that leap of faith, the energy of fun, mischievous, being daring, whether it's in love, career, or just in general. Okay, there you go, the Fool in reverse here. There you go. Okay, the Fool in reverse is usually the opposite of its upright position. So the Fool in reverse usually signifies being a little bit wary, a little bit like instead of being courageous and daring and risk taking, as in the upright meaning, the reverse meaning is afraid to take risks and all that. So this is the Fool in the Star Terror. Totally different. Look a little bit like astronaut, like a spaceman in a way. And yes, like a very differing images, differing artworks here of the Fool. You can see that Everyday Terror has somewhat similar images to the traditional one. See, okay, they both have this happy feel to it, like, and the dogs are there. It's a very important image there. That for the dogs, important to have that dog there in the image of the Fool. Same like Terra Mukha as well. There's a dog there, painted or drawn in Art Nouveau style. Okay. Oh, yeah, but Terra Mukha, if you notice, is a female instead of a male. So yeah, it can be. It depends on the tarot deck on what the artist and the artwork are. I mean, what they want to portray as well. Okay. So just want to rearrange them with the traditional Raiders Tarot in the middle as the main reference. See how different it is, how different these two are. Look at that. And if you notice, there's no dog here in the Star Tarot, but it's a crocodile instead. So that's a very different meaning there as well. For those of you who are watching, and if you feel connected to this, you can share in the comment below as well. What do you feel, or what comes to your mind and heart when you saw that crocodile was there? Okay, for this one, Star of the Moon Garden, the dog is there as well. So cute, the dog. I love dogs. I have 3 dogs on my own. So That's why for me, this is a very happy, the Fool is a very happy card. Okay, so I'm going to refer to a book and I'll share the meaning of the Fool shared by the book. I find this book, okay, this is the book, The Ultimate Guide to Terror by Lee Zin, A Beginner's Guide to the Card Spreads and Revealing the Mystery of the Terror. I find that this book is very useful to understand tarot as a whole, not to memorize the meaning though, it's just to understand in general, because I feel that understanding is very important so that we can naturally connect to the cards as a whole and to the whole journey of the fool in the card in tarot itself. And overall, I do love reading and I love history as well. So I found this book to be very fascinating. Hope that it will be useful and beneficial for you as well to listen on the meaning of the fool or the history and story of the fool shared by this book. I will share a link to this book, the ebook version, in the description box below in case you are interested to get to know this book further or to purchase it for yourself for better understanding of the tarot. Okay, so according to this author, okay, of course, the fool starts with with the number zero, and there's an alternative name to the fool, the jester or the idiot as well. And number zero can also be considered XX11, or it could also be unnumbered depending on the deck. Astrological sign or planet for the fool is Uranus, and the element is air, and the Hebrew letter is Aleph. Symbol is the ox, and the meaning is always related to instinct. And the tree of life pathway is first between Keter and Kokma, and this is related. The foal is related to the crown chakra for spiritual connection and to the base chakra as well for survival. The key meanings to the fool is always related to innocence, risk, and beginnings. Understanding the fool. The fool is the innocent adventurer about to begin an important journey. With a head full of hope, he is idealistic rather than practical. He is certainly not dressed for travel. The little dog at his heels tries to warn him of impending peril, but the fool is blissfully ignorant of the risk he takes in stepping off a cliff. He is about to encounter danger, but how else can he make his way in the world? We all begin life as a zero, a tiny egg of potential. The fool is the cosmic egg, symbolized by the shape of his number zero. As he journeys through the major arcana sequence, he is a part of every card, but he also stands outside the sequence without a formal value. An absolute beginner, he is about to explore the world, gain experience, and leave behind his status as a zero, a no being. He will travel lightly without the baggage of commitment. The fool is the dreamer, led only by his needs and desires. Usually depicted as a youth, the fool must grow to become a man in the next card in the tarot sequence. That's the magician, an individual who knows life and has identified what he needs to succeed in it. The fool on his journey will collect, in his bag, the four symbols of the minor arcana suits: the cup, sword, pentacles, and wand. These items are the essence of his survival: the cup to drink from, the sword to defend himself, the pentacle a coin for victuals, and the wand to connect him with his higher self. At this stage of his journey, he is yet to discover the power and meaning of these objects. When he fully understands their purpose, he may progress to the next stage of life, ready to morph into the card one, the magician. Even though his number is zero, his preceding card is the world, card XXI. Some tarotists even assign him number XXII/0 to show that the Fool is both the end and the beginning of the card sequence. The Fool's element is air, which is fitting given he is about to step off a precipice into the other end on his travel will go wherever the wind blows. While the Fool is not linked with a zodiac sign, he does have a planet, Uranus, which symbolizes independence and a free spirit. According to the author of this book, the upright meaning of a fool signifies calculated risk, that it's never too late to begin anew and follow your heart's desire. The journey ahead is not without danger, but it is time to take a leap of faith. This card suggests well for those embarking on new enterprises and educational courses, provided sensible planning in its place. This is a time for optimism and a fresh perspective. The Fool brings an opportunity to start over and feel young again, or excited at the prospect of a new way of living. The prospect of a new way of living, the Fool is an embodiment of your spirit, whether male or female, ready to explore and discover. Whatever you start now will go well, and provided you do look before you leap. But once the decision is made, it's time to push forward and not look back. Have courage, commit to your path, and be fully in the moment. The Fool's appearance in a reading can bring a sigh of relief in that there is now a way ahead. Welcome in the new and travel lightly. Here are some insights the Fool can offer in particular areas of life. In a home, the Fool can show a young person leaving home for the first time. Also, surprise visitors could call. You may also have younger guests in your home. With regard to relationships, the Fool signifies a new relationship, and the message is to go with the flow at this point. For career and money, you may have sabbatical or a new opportunity in your current job or a new career or enterprise. Prioritizing your workload is also the key to moving ahead swiftly. In the meantime, the reverse meaning is what you are proposing or a situation offered to you a leap too far. The Fool reverse brings out his irresponsible side as his mouth works ahead of his brain. Without thinking through the downsides, the Fool makes decisions that are not wise. The reverse Fool leaps without awareness and so becomes the literal idiot, sabotaging his chances due to desperation and irrationality. Think carefully before agreeing to a new approach to work, and hold back from emotional commitments until you are sure your ground. His wisdom message is leap, but look first. So the Fool symbols are in the Rider-Waite Tarot, the Fool appears with these magical symbols. Some of them reappear in other major arcana cards. So learn to recognize them, and you will soon find you can apply your knowledge throughout the deck. Number one, the dog represents instinct and self preservation. The animal tries to warn the Fool that he is about to walk off a cliff, but the Fool is oblivious to his warning. You can see this similar symbol in the Moon card as well. Number two, the white rose or butterfly. The white rose stands for purity and innocence. Some cards show the Fool with a butterfly, a symbol of dreams and spirit. You can also see the white rose symbol on the Death card as well. And number three, the bundle. The Fool carries little in his bundle, just his essentials and four talismans, the symbol of the minor arcana. And number four, the white sun. This is a symbol of consciousness, of the workings of the mind that are directly expressed. As the sun rises, It illuminates the fool's world, showing it all in the best possible light. The sun is white, which links with the fool's chakra of the crown and has purity of the spirit. You can see the golden sun on the lover's card, the temperance, that the moon, as well as the sun major arcana card as well. And the fifth symbol is the red feather. The red feather in the fool's cap denotes his life force. You can see this symbol on the cards, the sun and the death as well. The red feather that symbolizes his life force. The author in the book also discusses the historical fool between the idiot and the joker, and there's also the fool's reflection, and there's a suggested reading with the fool card as well in the book. But I'm not going to go into all those. Instead, I'm going to do a reference on the different images of the fool in these different tarot decks that I have here, and I'm going to read from some of the guidebook available as well to see how we can compare the meaning and the images of the fool from each deck. So I hope you will enjoy this as well. Let's look at those decks now. Okay, let's begin with Terror of a Moon Garden. Let's look at the reference of the Fool here. The Fool, thoughtlessness, folly, extravagance, lack of discipline, immaturity, irrationality, insecurity, frivolity, delirium, frenzy, enthusiasm, naivety. And in reverse, it means poor decision, indecision, apathy, hesitation, and negligence. And for this deck, this Everyday Tarot deck, the Fool in upright means new opportunities and beginnings are available to you. Be open minded and curious, ready to explore and discover new things. Play, have fun, and be spontaneous. And on the reverse, you have conceived of a new project but aren't ready to birth it just yet. You are worried about the risk and fear the unknown. And now let's have a look at this beautiful booklet of this deck Tara Mukha. Very beautiful. The name of the artist is also written here. And this booklet is available in different languages listed here. So this is a very extensive guidebook actually. The history of tarot is also written and shared here as well. And the meaning of the fool is actually quite long actually here. Let me just read some for you. Each of us embark upon the journey of life with a light heart and an innocent spirit. Every adventure we encounter along the path has the potential for joy. The fool is the soul who travels the human lifetime seeking knowledge, understanding, and beauty. The carnation she holds symbolizes the incarnation of her spirit in mortal flesh. She has no expectation, only the willingness to live fully in the flow of life's experiences. Her worldly possessions are simple and few, carried in the small pilgrim's bag upon her shoulder. Her companion dog guides her away from the cliff's edge, for he is part of the consciousness that instinctively protects us from harm. Heeding your instincts, guidance, and the call of your spirit toward its purpose, you are always exactly where you are meant to be. The key ideas here are the beginnings, openness, optimism, trust, innocence, the perfect soul. So those are the meanings written and shared in those guidebooks. And as you can see, they are all different in a way, but also similar in that they're all connected to the essential and to the basic meaning shared by the book that I read out just now as well. So that's why it's very important to understand the whole outlook or the whole story of this terror and the fool's journey, and it's also useful to read the guidance, the guidebook that comes with your tarot deck so that you can also connect with the traditional meaning and with what's in front of you as well. Because through all those understanding, I personally feel that's how we can connect better with the cards and the messages that the spirits would want to convey to us when we're channeling or when we are sharing and delivering the messages from the tarot cards. And for me personally, as to which tarot deck I would use for a certain reading, it all depends on intuition and the energy at that time as well. Sometimes I would be drawn to a certain card for a certain type of reading. Sometimes it's just there's really no specific law or specific rules as to this. Basically, it just depends on intuition. That's the beauty of intuition, really. And intuition can also be trained, can be harnessed as with all other skills as well. And I believe that all of us are actually born with a certain inner wisdom deep inside of us, and all of us has that gift. If you feel that calling that you want to share a message to the world, that you have this urgent calling inside of you to really utilize your intuition for the overall good of all, that's something that I believe you should go for. And it's very interesting to hear and to read um, tarot based on intuition, and based on everyone's intuition, every reader will have their own different interpretation of the cards and the connection as well, of how certain cards, when they're placed next to each other, there are different stories to be told, there are different messages that will come to the reader. So that's what make each reading different. And I believe in energetic connection as well. So um yeah, each everyone would have a different reading to a situation, depending on the energy at that time, the energy of everything surrounding the reader and the one requesting for the reading as well. So that's why in the beginning I mentioned that I'm not prepared to teach tarot yet. So what I'm doing is just sharing what I know, as well as sharing that beautiful wisdom from the book just now as well, because I found that that book has been very helpful when I first started my tarot journey as well. And it's just very, very interesting to understand where all this came from. So if you have the time to read and look into that book or any other reading materials as well, actually, to understand the tarot as a whole. And I hope that you found this useful. This is not like a very formal video for teaching or anything, it's just sharing from my heart, because yes, I find this very interesting. This whole tarot journey, and the Fool especially, is very interesting. I'll be sharing more about the other cards as well. Yes, later on, I'll be sharing about each card, each images, each meaning one by one as well, with the hope that all of you will also benefit from it. And myself, I believe that I would be able, somehow maybe see other things from a different set of eyes and perspective as well. So, with that, thank you for watching until the end, and thank you for listening as well. If you have any thoughts to share, any feedback, do leave your comment below as well. And well, happy listening, happy reading tarot, happy understanding tarot as well, and happy getting connected to your intuition. Until then, I'll see you again next time. Bye.